He was called Africa's Che Guevara. Young, bold, and fearless, Thomas Sankara rose from a soldier to president and promised to break the chains of imperialism. He gave up luxuries, refused foreign debt, and inspired a continent with his integrity. But in the shadows, betrayal brewed. And in 1987, at just 37 years old, he was gunned down, not by a foreign assassin, but allegedly by his closest friend. This is the story of how one of Africa's greatest revolutionaries was silenced by the very system he tried to reform. The people rejoiced as he implemented land reforms, education initiatives, and gender equality policies, igniting a spirit of revolution that spread across Africa. His charisma captivated the masses, making him a beacon of hope in a world fraught with oppression. Yet behind closed doors, political alliances shifted and threats emerged from within. As he pushed forward with his vision, the very men he trusted began to plot against him. The final betrayal came swiftly, shattering dreams of a united continent and silencing a voice that dared to challenge the status quo. Born in 1949 in French Upper Volta, now known as Burkina Faso, Thomas Sankara grew up amidst poverty and inequality, shaped by the lingering effects of colonialism. He joined the army young, but unlike most soldiers, he distinguished himself not just as a fighter, but also as a thinker and musician. In 1983, through a military coup supported by his best friend Blaise Compaoré, Thomas Sankara rose to power, ready to make a difference. He ruled differently than his predecessors, changing the country's name from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, meaning land of upright people, and selling off the government's fleet of luxury cars. He refused his presidential salary, choosing instead to focus on the needs of his people, vaccinating millions and planting millions of trees. He took bold steps by banning female genital mutilation and making ministers ride bicycles, emphasizing equality and simplicity in governance. Sankara was different from the rest, a visionary leader who sought to uplift his nation and empower its people. His vision for Burkina Faso was transformative, aiming to instill pride and dignity among his people, advocating for a nation that stood up against adversity. But the world wasn't ready for Sankara. Western powers were uncomfortable with his rejection of foreign aid and capitalism. African leaders feared his influence might spread revolutions, and inside Burkina Faso, greed and resentment festered. His biggest threat, the man who once helped him to power, Blaise Compaoré. The friendship was breaking. Sankara had become too radical, too independent. And on October 15, 1987, it all ended. The night fell heavy with uncertainty as soldiers took to the streets, an ominous sign of the betrayal that was about to unfold. Inside a dimly lit room, Thomas Sankara conferred with his trusted advisors, strategizing on how to navigate the brewing storm, unaware that the very hands he once trusted were preparing to strike. Blaise Compaoré gathered his allies, plotting in secrecy under the guise of friendship, while Thomas Sankara championed revolutionary ideas that threatened the status quo. As tensions rose, the air thickened with anticipation. Supporters of Sankara rallied behind his vision for a new Burkina Faso, unaware of the looming betrayal. With every passing day, the divide between the two men grew wider, leading to an inevitable clash that would mark a turning point in history. That afternoon, Sankara arrived at a meeting. Moments later, gunshots echoed. Sankara and 12 others were gunned down. His body was quickly buried in an unmarked grave. The official story, a failed coup, but few believed it. Within hours, Blaise Compaoré seized power, claiming Sankara had betrayed the revolution. He ruled for 27 years, and Sankara erased from textbooks, buried in silence, until the people remembered. Years passed, but the memory of Thomas Sankara lingered in the hearts of many. His ideals ignited a spark within the people, leading to widespread protests across Burkina Faso. As voices united, they called for justice and recognition of his contributions to the nation. In the streets, a wave of nostalgia swept through the crowd as they chanted his name. The movement grew stronger, fueled by the desire to reclaim Sankara's vision for a just and equitable society. In coffee shops and community centers, his words were revisited, inspiring a new generation to understand his revolutionary ethos. Conversations bloomed around his principles, igniting a movement that transcended time and space. As candles flickered in the twilight, mourners gathered to honor Thomas Sankara's legacy, their voices echoing hopes for the future he envisioned. The day after the verdict, newspapers splashed bold headlines across their front pages, capturing the profound sense of relief and celebration among the people who had fought tirelessly for justice. In 2014, the streets erupted as citizens united in a powerful wave of protests, overthrowing Blaise Compaoré. After years of his leadership, the dream of revolution that Thomas Sankara embraced had come to fruition, yet it arrived too late for him. Fast forward to 2022, a military tribunal rendered a historic decision, finding Blaise Compaoré guilty of Sankara's murder, sentencing him to life in absentia. After 35 long years of silence, justice finally reverberated. In the aftermath of the ruling, the streets overflowed with jubilant crowds, their laughter and music resounding in a powerful celebration of justice and hope. Among them stood an elderly woman, tears of joy streaming down her face as she clutched a picture of Thomas Sankara, surrounded by the youth who vowed to carry forth his ideals and dreams for a better nation. Thomas Sankara lived for the people and died for the truth. He taught that real power is service, not domination, that integrity is dangerous in a world of corruption, and that sometimes your greatest enemy wears the face of a friend. In his brief yet impactful life, Thomas Sankara inspired a nation to rise against oppression and embrace self-reliance. His strategies were rooted in profound love for his countrymen as he envisioned a Burkina Faso free from foreign domination. His philosophy echoed in the hearts of many that true change comes from within and requires courage to challenge the status quo. Even after his untimely death, the spirit of his teachings ignited a flame of hope across the African continent. As his legacy continues to inspire movements for democracy and social justice, the teachings of Thomas Sankara resonate strongly in today's struggles against corruption and inequality. His message remains a guiding light, urging people to empower themselves and confront adversities with resilience. The echoes of his words live on, reminding individuals that leadership is a responsibility rooted in service and not an opportunity for personal gain. As communities gather, they continue to honor his vision, striving for a brighter future, inspired by his unwavering commitment to the truth. What do you think? Was Sankara's death inevitable in a world that feared change? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to Cortex Crime for more untold stories of betrayal, justice, and revolution. Share this, because some stories can't be buried.